What's going on, everyone? My name is Tom from Dreadlabs, and today I'm going to give you 5 tips for creative time management.
Dreadlabs.
Alright, so I often do get the question about how I schedule my work next to, my freelance job, and with work I mean Dreadlabs, of course. So basically, how do I schedule Dreadlabs next to freelancing? And back in the day I also did this next to doing schoolwork. Most of you might already, apply some of these tips that I'm going to give you, but I just wanted to give them out anyway because once you hear them, you might, be more aware of them and then, use these tips in a more purposeful way, perhaps. So before we head into the top 5, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, if you have any tips for yourself that I didn't mention, leave them down in the comments for other people to see. So number 1 is schedule your days. And what I mean by that is basically make a schedule, draw down blocks of your day, and fill them in with what activity you're going to be doing that day. I'll show an example up on the screen, but essentially what I mean by this is basically make time blocks with a certain activity. For example, when I start my day at 9, between 9 and 10 is working on a proposal for client A. And after that, from 10 till 11, perhaps I do like a video recording or writing a script for Dreadlabs. Something to note here is that you also want to schedule in your breaks. I recommend doing a 15-minute break every 2 hours or so. And these scheduled breaks, with that I don't mean sit at your desk and look at your phone or scroll through Instagram or whatever. I really mean take a break. Leave your desk, maybe go for a short walk, prepare yourself some snack or lunch. Try not to look at a screen for a little while and actually let your body realize that you're not working at that time. Scheduling in your breaks gives you more energy when you get back into it, but it also gives you a certain realization of what you have done so far during that day. So another thing about this is don't make your schedule too tight. I usually leave a little bit of headroom, so if I think I'm going to be finished within an hour, I just schedule in like an hour and a half or something. And this is one, of course, to make it not too hectic for yourself, but I also happen to find that if I know that I have to be finishing this in like an hour and a half, I will always work a little bit faster, and the earlier I finish, the earlier I can start on my next activity. And sometimes I just find out that I have a whole hour or maybe 2 hours extra during my day just because I work faster and I know what I have to do that day. So tip number 2 is a short one, and this one is something that might not work for everybody, and I mainly use this tip if I don't feel creative at the moment in time. If you can do something within 5 minutes, do it right now. So this is not really about creative work, this is more about replying to emails, cleaning your desk or your download folders, these smaller tasks that will always be in the back of your head that you kind of have to do. Cool thing about this is if you have multiple of these, you can fill in a whole hour of these 5-minute tasks, for example, and after that I just usually feel more productive because my head feels less cluttered, because usually this is something, like I said, replying to an email, something that I just need to do. And of course, if you don't feel creative anyways, it doesn't really matter. You still feel productive even though you wouldn't be using that time to create anyway. Alright, so tip number 3 is something that also might not be available to anyone, but it's using multiple machines. You might have an old laptop laying around, or you might have, 2 workspaces. For example, I use a laptop and a computer. What I do with this is I make sure that I use one of these machines, of course, if needed, for rendering, while then working on like Photoshop on my other machine. So the reason for this is, of course, if I need to do like some heavy rendering, I just use my computer for that. But if I need to do like another job on an album cover or something in Photoshop, I just make sure that I do that on my laptop, so my computer isn't bothered with opening Photoshop and render engine at the same time. Also, if you have some old machines laying around, you might want to look into team rendering. Alright, so tip number 4 is prepare for your day. So let's just say that I want to be working on some mixed media artwork the next day. Sometimes I just get out of the creative vibe if I at that same time have to grab all of my stuff together, place it all on my desk. Getting ready just takes me out of the creative vibe. And so what I usually do then is I just make sure that like the day before, I just put all of my stuff on my desk already, so the next day I can just go in and get right to like mixed media or painting, whatever. This way you don't have to get yourself out of a creative vibe. It usually saves me some time, but most importantly, it really stimulates my creativity a little bit more. And the more creative I feel, the earlier I get things done. So essentially, it's also a little bit of time management, I guess. Alright, so the last tip number 5 is set a timer to whip up proposals. So with proposals, I mean, for example, if I have to do an album cover and they want to see a couple of options, I usually send 2, 3, maybe 4 proposals. This way my client can choose between a couple of different ones. But something that I found out was some of these proposals took a long time. I would, for example, spend like an hour on a certain proposal, and within 20 minutes the result looked fine and the client would probably understand the idea of the proposal. But those extra 40 minutes I just spent perfecting the design, which wasn't really necessarily in that certain stage of the design process. So what I usually do is I just set a timer for myself, maybe for 20 minutes, maybe for 30 minutes, it's all up to you of course. And then I just start making a proposal. And when that timer goes off, you just start on a new one and do this like however many times you want to repeat this. I usually do this 2 to 4 times. And for example, this way you'll have 4 proposals within 2 hours. So why you want to do this is basically so you don't waste too much time on whipping up a proposal that might not be chosen, you know. Something that also really helps me is when I'm working on one of these proposals, sometimes I get really excited about, for example, proposal number 2, but then the timer goes off, so I have to make a new one. But after like my final timer goes off, I just want to go back into proposal number 2 and then do some more stuff with it. So it also makes you a little bit more excited to get back into your design and, you know, have a little bit more fun with it, I guess. This method also works really well with music production, especially when you want to make multiple songs in one day and, you know, you just don't want to like spend the whole day mixing and mastering or something. But yeah, mostly this just helps you kill a little bit of time that might not be needed in putting certain amount of time into certain work. Alright, so there you have them, 5 tips for creative time management. I hope these were useful to you guys and I hope you didn't already know about them. I know this is based off an older video that I made back in the day, but I thought the quality of that video wasn't really good, so I thought let's just remake it. So if you have any other tips, like I said, please leave them down in the comments, or if you have any questions regarding my tips, just let me know and I'll try to reply to every question. So before we end the video, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons. Thanks to my patrons, I'm actually able to keep up the weekly videos for you guys, and as a thank you, you'll get access to all of the project files from all of my tutorials, a 15% discount in my asset web store, as well as an exclusive Discord role in the Dreadlabs Discord community. So if you go 1 tier up, you'll also get access to exclusive tutorials such as how to start your own clothing brand, how to make a death metal logo from scratch, how to make Y2K rave flyers, and much more. So if this is something that you're interested in, there's a link down in the description. And if you don't have the budget to support Dreadlabs, that's of course completely fine. Leaving a like, comment, and subscribe already does a lot. So with all of that being said, this is Tom from Dreadlabs tuning out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video.